I couldn't believe my eyes. As I opened the door, I saw the woman I had cut out of my life over a decade ago. Standing beside her was Harry, the man I once called my stepfather. They both looked exhausted, their clothes slightly unkempt. But my mother's expression was devoid of guilt or hesitation. She didn't ask how I was doing. She didn't even say hello. Instead, the first words out of her mouth were, "We need to talk. I know you make a lot of money. It's time for you to give back." I stood frozen. Harry nodded in agreement. "Your siblings are going to college soon. We've been struggling for years, and now you can finally help your family." Family? I narrowed my eyes at them. This was the first time they had reached out to me in over 10 years, and yet, instead of an apology, instead of concern, they came with demands. I took a deep breath and stepped aside. I knew my answer already, but I wanted to hear what they had to say. There was a time when I thought I meant the world to my mother. She had me when she was 20. My father had never wanted kids, and the moment my mother decided to keep me, he vanished completely. No support, no contact, nothing. But my mother wasn't alone. My grandparents stepped in, helping her finish her education and get a stable job. When I was 8, my mother met Harry, a co-worker. They dated for years before getting married, and for a while, I thought I was getting the family I had always wanted. I was wrong. After my mother gave birth to twins, I became invisible in my own home. She stopped hugging me, stopped asking about my day, stopped spending time with me at all. I tried to help with my baby siblings, thinking it would bring us closer, but the harder I tried, the more distant she became. Then, 6 months after the twins were born, my mother and Harry sat me down for a serious talk. "We can't keep supporting you anymore," my mother said, her voice cold. "The house is too small. Money is tight. Your siblings are young. They need their parents more than you do." I begged to stay. I offered to get a job, to help out, however I could. But my mother shook her head. "You're old enough to take care of yourself now. Your siblings deserve to stay." That word. Deserve. Not need, not require. Deserve. That was all it took. I knew at that moment I wasn't wanted anymore. At 16, I walked out of that house with nowhere to go, except to my grandparents' home. My grandparents took me in, but they were old and couldn't support me financially. I got a part-time job, determined not to be a burden. Meanwhile, my mother and Harry continued visiting my grandparents with my siblings, but they never asked about me. Not once. When I left for college, I had to take out student loans because my mother refused to help. A kind uncle co-signed my loans, trusting me to pay them back. I juggled classes and work, struggling to stay afloat, but I refused. To give up. I had no one, but I didn't need anyone. After college, I landed an entry-level job at a big company. The salary was low, but I worked tirelessly, staying late, proving my worth. Years passed, and I climbed the corporate ladder. Finally, I was promoted to senior management, one of the youngest in my company to ever achieve that position. I thought my past was behind me. But then, my mother came back. My mother sat on my couch, looking around as if she had a right to be there. "You can help the family now. Your siblings need you," she said, as if it were a simple fact. I clenched my fists. "Do you remember what you said to me?" I asked. "When I needed you?" She said nothing. I locked eyes with her. "You told me my siblings deserved to stay, that they mattered more than me. And I walked away. I never asked you for anything. So tell me, why do you think you have the right to ask me now?" My mother's face twisted in anger. "You ungrateful brat," she spat. "I raised you alone for years. The least you can do is give back." I laughed bitterly. "You didn't raise me. You abandoned me. I don't owe you anything." Her face turned red as she stood. "Up! You'll regret this!" she snapped. I pointed at the door. "Get out!" My mother didn't stop there. She bombarded my inbox with guilt-tripping emails. She showed up at my workplace, causing a scene. Security had to escort her out. Then, one night, she was waiting outside my house. When I told her to leave, she attacked me, screaming, hitting, blaming me for her ruined life. The neighbors heard the commotion and called the police. She was arrested that night. I filed charges and got a restraining order against her. Harry took my siblings and left. Even my grandparents finally cut ties with her. And me? I moved on. For years I had wondered, did she ever regret what she did? But after everything, I finally had my answer. She was never sorry. She never came back for me because she loved me, only because she needed something. And now she had nothing left. As for me, I was free, and I never looked back. It took years for me to heal from the scars she left behind. But now, I live my life on my own terms, surrounded by people who actually care about me. Blood may make you related, but family is about love, not obligation. And my mother? She made her choice, and I made mine. I chose myself. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.